You are now listening to the highlight reel builder for authors, the Going North podcast. I'm your host, certified self-leadership trainer and author of the best-selling book, Stay the Course, Dom Brightman. And you're going to be getting some goodies today from the guest that's up next. And today on the highlight reel builder for authors known as the Going North podcast, we got a heck of a treat for you today, my friends. It's like a cupcake, pancake, and an ice cream cake, baby. And it's all with the simple flavor of simplicity. Because today's wonderful guest is a minimalist author, a simplicity coach, speaker, music geek, as well as a slow traveler. We're going to probably learn more about what the heck does he mean by slow traveler. I don't know if he's competing with the snails for the slowest traveler token or what. But man, oh man, we got one heck of a guest for you today. All the way from all across the freaking globe, y'all. Across the freaking globe. Because the man's currently in Ireland right now. And the man's going to be moving again, y'all. I'm telling you, he's going to be moving again. And he's going to be shaking too, folks. That's right. My man's probably got maracas hidden somewhere since he's a music geek. So let's give it up for Mr. CL himself, the champion himself, the one who's all about helping folks live better, do better with less. The one, the only, Chris Lovett. How you doing today, Chris?
Hey Dom, man, I've never had an intro that fly before. I might just record all of that and just put that as an audio file on my CV. Whenever I send it to someone, I go, just listen to what Dom just said there. That's all you need to know. But yeah, thanks again for getting me on the pod, man. I'm looking forward to having a really cool chat with you.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, man, because it's a very timely topic, because a lot of folks did some spring cleaning in 2020, and some may have done it in 2021, but there's still some spring cleaning we need to do, no matter what season it is, man. And heck, if you're traveling, like, you got to pack light, man. So my goodness, man, as you know, with all introductions, they're not allowed to be 17 and a half days long, so mind filling in any cavities I missed about you, my man?
Well, I mean, it's, getting rid of stuff is my thing. And I never thought it would be. Right? I never thought it would be because when you set up a career or you start your life, you have all these interests, and I wanted to be, in a band, but just ended up in a career and then just got stuck. And while I was in that career, I earned a little bit of money, and I thought, what does it look like to society for me to be successful? I know, let's buy a load of stuff. Because the more you buy and the more you have, the more successful you are, right? That's what I thought. But all that tended to do was get me into debt. I got bored, unfulfilled, but at least I had loads of watches and loads of jumpers and loads of stuff that I didn't use, like all the latest and greatest pots and pans, because they made such a big difference in the quality of the pasta that I was putting in the microwave. So all the stuff that was just like kind of material possessions, I had to get rid of, basically. And to do that, I decluttered. And only then did I find that I could be so much more and do all the things that I really wanted to do when I didn't have all that stuff keeping me anchored in the same place. So yeah, man, getting rid of stuff is good for the soul.
Oh yeah, man, definitely could say that again. So my goodness, so slow traveler, saw that the Twitter profile, and I'm like, man, so is that like a snail's pace of traveler where it takes you a few years to pick a new location to travel? Like, what's the meaning behind that one?
Yeah, good question, Tom. When I saw that term, I thought, yeah, I thought the same actually. I was like, you take a year to go like to one destination or something like that. But actually it's more a case of settling into a culture or an area and trying to be part of the local activities that go on. So rather than probably what we're used to, a certain pace of life is when you have a holiday or time away, get on a plane, go in a car, you go to a place, you do the things, and you get the hell out of Dodge. And then you say, oh, I've been to such and such. But actually, all you've done is you've been to an event, or you've been to do an activity or something like that. But you don't really know what the people are like, or you don't really know what the food is like. It smells different. The grass is different. The air is different. And by slow travel, all I just mean is basically that when I go to a place now, rather than stay in a hotel, I would stay in someone's house. So understand what it is like to live here. Maybe engage with some of the locals, try the local cuisine, walk around a bit more, which can take a little bit longer, but it actually does give you an idea of what it's like here. And only then you can get a real experience of that place. So when we went traveling, we went to places like Lafayette, New Orleans, Sedona, places like that, where we use New Orleans, for example. You will go in and do Mardi Gras, or you'll go in and do Halloween, and you come out and you'll do Bourbon Street and some jazz and a bit like that, and then you come out. But actually, you will have no idea of maybe the culture of the area, what's going on in that particular part of society, and the challenges that they are facing, and the amazing, intricate foods that are there. So yeah, slow travel for me is like one of the things that I love doing now, and I could only do that with a bit more money because I didn't buy stuff that I didn't need. So I spend my kind of hard-earned money now on things that add more value to me.
Amen to that. Amen to that indeed. That's what I'm talking about. It's kind of interesting because that's actually probably a better way to travel if you give yourself the ability to do so, because you get to take in more of the sights, more of the actual place you're traveling, get to take in more of the air, more of the culture, get to learn some new stuff. Heck, might even positively influence you for the better, because that's the thing I noticed about traveling is the fact that usually when you learn about other cultures, it makes you more grateful for the one that you may have come from if you're from the Western
Yeah,
thought, or oh heck, even and or you also probably enjoy it a little bit better, some of the better aspects, and you learn more. Then it just makes you take in more of really what's in around you, up just slow down a bit.
yeah, and you're spot on. And I think you and your listeners will probably have an opportunity to kind of think back to nice places that they've been to, and want to go back there again, especially now when traveling is so restricted as well. It's something that when looking back on our travel photos, when can I go there again? It'd be great to get on the plane without having to go through so many, barriers and bits and pieces like that. But yeah, there's actually a lot of truth to what you were saying there. There's so many bits of research and psychology around the positive impacts that traveling can have in other areas of your life as well. So I can't remember the guy's name, but I put a bit in the book about how if you were to spend an extended period of time in a different culture, it actually adds to your problem solving skills. It adds to your ability to be more resistant and things like that. You can then take into maybe a different career. So sometimes if I'm doing recruitment, or if I'm looking at bringing people into my team, things like, I'll go, "Have you been traveling?" And if say, "Yeah, I have actually." Well, tell me more about that, because like if you go to a place where you don't know the language, you've got to think of a different way to communicate, which means you've got to, and again, in the work setting, you can communicate with different types of people in different ways rather than the way we always know. And there'll be challenges, there'll be problems that you have to solve along the way. And that all adds to your growth and your skill set as you move on through life. So yeah, even on the surface, we may think that traveling is just a fun old time, and we can wear our shorts the whole time and walk around in flip flops and a vest. But actually, all the additional stuff that happens throughout that journey can add so much value later on. So yeah, so I'm totally in agreement with you, mate. I think it's good for the soul, and it's good for your future self too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Helps you build up your hard currency too. I bet.
Oh, you're using that one now, are you?
Yes, indeed. So, mind filling in the listeners on what the heck hard currency is, man? Because when you told me before I press record, I'm like, oh, this is gold.
Yeah, man. My friend Bill Christ, who's based over in Washington State, actually, he mentioned this to me the other day, and it's basically things where maybe you don't get rewarded in a traditional sense, like financially, that we're kind of used to, right? But it gives you fulfillment. So it might be that you take a walk in a park somewhere, go out for a walk. Doing that activity will give you maybe a little bit of fitness, maybe a little bit of going out and seeing trees and walking outside and things like that. But it gives you uh, fuel for the soul. So yeah, so I think that's part of why I kind of do what I do, and sometimes writing a book, as you might know, Dom, is you don't necessarily get huge financial rewards for it, but there's not necessarily a reason why you write a book. It's to help people. So and maybe similar to this podcast is that you're supporting people through their own journeys, and it just adds to your. It's good for the soul, man. So yeah. So Bill mentioned this phrase "heart currency" to me the other day, and I was like, dude, I am taking that and I'm paying it forward. So Dom, it's now yours. It's your responsibility to move that forward.
Oh, yeah, man, definitely. Because, like, we've had past couple guests have mentioned some of the stuff that really helps you build up your hard currency. Heck, even I believe Melanie Chokaz Bradley. She doesn't even really have a social media account like that, but she talked about forest bathing. And my God, I think that was like over close to 300 episodes ago too. And
Wow.
yeah, it's interesting because like the more time we spend in nature, especially if we can quote unquote earth by going barefoot in parts of nature, it really does good for our body, and you can really feel the difference, especially with all the cobwebs you can get, metaphorically speaking, from all this darn technology. And I believe that's also in your wheelhouse too about the digital decluttering, right?
Yeah, spot on, Dom. Again, like many of us, like it's really easy to scroll, right? Just pick up a phone and you think, well, how do I detach from what's going on in the real world and get involved in my digital world? So yeah, similar to when I was kind of getting rid of my physical items, I found that I had just tons and tons of emails that I felt the need to respond to all of them. I subscribed to loads of junk that, you know, maybe a decade ago I was interested in, but maybe now not so much. But I would just keep them. Social media the same. I just had loads and loads of connections on all sorts of platforms, but actually weren't just adding that much value to me. And so, yeah, part of that digital decluttering thing was again learning how to let go of my old thoughts and my old beliefs that I needed to be have like over 100 friends on Facebook, because I thought, you have a lot of friends on Facebook, it means you're popular or important. But actually, that's all BS. And a lot of the stuff that was consuming my time was some of it was quite negative and actually of no interest to me. So rather than just delete all of those apps and just cut them off, it was a case of how can I be a curator? How can I bring in the right type of stuff that every time I scroll, I'm going to be either be entertained, I've learned something, or be really, really useful to me. And if it didn't fit into those three kind of buckets, then deleted, gone. So yeah, I deleted thousands and thousands of emails that I thought that I'd kept, not even deleted, but they were just in my inbox. I thought one day I might need them, and we
Yep.
never need them. Yeah, old friends on Facebook, Twitter account, old LinkedIn contacts as well is another one. Because LinkedIn contacts for me were a view into the past that I was trying to move away from. So disconnected with a few of those people and those companies, things like that. And yeah, doing that again, it just makes you feel a bit more lighter and think, oh, next time I pick up my phone, I know that it's going to be some good stuff and not going to be wasting my time because, I think it's a couple of hours a day when we're awake, on average, that we spend on our phones. So if you're going to do it, make sure I add value. You know what I mean? If you're going to speak to people, I want to speak to people like you, Dom. You know, it's going to add value to my day, and I'm going to, you know, maybe be friends with for life, and you know, these types of things. And it's really, really interesting way of living rather than just consuming all the time.
Yeah, amen to that, man. You're so darn right. It's like, heck, even it. It's actually kind of funny as you're saying it's about them emails, man. Because I remember, like, I was like in 11th or 12th grade, and one of my high school buddies, and he had like freaking 10,000 or 6,000 emails, somewhere in the thousands. And I'm like, dude, how the hell you got that many emails, bro?
Yeah, yeah,
And and now 2021, it's like, oh, I see how he got those thousand
yeah.
emails.
Now I
It's
know. Now I know. But you know what, right? I used to take the mick out of my friends. And when we first got iPhones and you had the mail app,
Mhm.
you just had this red circle with a number on it, right? And some of them where would be like 800 or 900. It would just be unread messages, right? And I started to get a little bit, oh, I just don't feel good. I can see it. I can see it on your phone, not even my phone. Every time you open your phone up, I see this this red circle with like a million, look like a phone number in it. And I was like, dude, what are you doing with all these emails? And he's like, oh no, I'll just leave them. And you kind of go, sort them out, please. So yeah, so I had to kind of walk that walk myself. But yeah, there's the random stuff that I thought I would need, like I don't know, like an offer of a loan from a bank that I had no interest in, that I would just be left in there, or a 5% off your next drinks voucher that would just disappear into the ether. And I'd scroll through and I'm like, that's 2 years old. Like, why have I still got that? But it's taking that type of questioning into your other parts of your life as well. And it can really help you. So when you do the decluttering, you get to become the curator rather than the collector. I always like to view your life and all your things as like a museum.
Mm.
Like, when you go to a museum and they don't just have everything in there, like, you don't just go scrolling around on the floor going, oh, I'll find this painting in the end. There's 500,000 paintings you have to look at or whatever. No, they're carefully crafted, and that's how I believe that we could live our lives that way. And it's really, really worked for me. So I'm just kind of sharing my story, really, mate.
Well, amen to that. Be a curator and not a collector. My goodness. Yes, indeed. Like, there ain't no use in collecting 40,000 freaking emails. Like, there's no freaking use. Like,
Oh, well, unless that is your aim in life, to collect 40,000 emails. But I've not met anyone whose aim is to collect that many. But
oh, God,
no,
no.
not for me.
I, a part of me says I would like to meet that person. A part of me doesn't. Because I'm like, what
Yeah,
do you gain from collecting 40,000 emails?
it's almost like I'm kind of curious, but from a distance.
There you go. That's a better way of saying it.
Yeah,
Like, that's hoarding at a different level, at a digital level.
yeah. Damn right.
Yes, indeed. So you mentioned earlier about the social medias that, especially with the LinkedIn, with the, I guess the way somewhat time travel that was going on at the time with some old friends, and usually with the Facebook friends and all the other good stuff, making sure that it's something that's either something that's educating you or entertaining you, or something that you can add value to. So any other tips you recommend folks to take home with immediately after listening to this wonderful podcast about maybe doing some more digital decluttering, or heck, even decluttering, period, that's helped you?
Yeah, first thing, buy the book, uh, Discovery of Less, which you can get anywhere you want, really. There's a couple of tips in there, actually. I don't really put too many tips because it's more of a story based, and I try to encourage people to find their own way, because I think it's really easy, Dom, to go onto Google and give me the top 10 tips to do whatever, right? So we're in the information age. It's the easier than ever to go and get a list of things that someone else is going to tell you to go and do, but that might not necessarily align with who you are, the situation you're in right now. So I'll basically just share what I did, and then people can just pick and choose what they want that might work for them. And it was more of in a career change, so I needed to change from the comfort zone into doing something that more aligned with what I wanted to do. And everything that I had on my LinkedIn was a view of who I was today. It wasn't a view of who I wanted to be in the future. So a lot of that was connections again, because it's a networking based platform, right? So we're connected, we know. And so when I was looking at the people I was connected with, I didn't really know who most of them were. But some of the people that I did know was just old work colleagues, old team members that they were doing the same thing that I've been doing for years, and they were also stuck. So I wanted to move away from seeing that type of stuff, because if you see what you always see, you won't see new opportunities that pop up. So I basically cleared a lot of those connections. There might be a little bit of guilt that you get because you've been connected for so many years. To click disconnect or unconnect or whatever, you might feel a little bit of guilt, but would the other person even notice? So that. So and then I started to again be the curator of my own account, and if I'm going to use LinkedIn or any other platform, I wanted to see stuff that was only going to help me get to where I wanted to be. So I reached out to people with different job titles that I wanted to, that's kind of sounded like what I wanted to do. So I wanted to be a coach. So I connected with coaches. And every time I connected with someone, I wrote a message, almost explaining to myself why I wanted to connect with that person. And then they knew why I was randomly reaching out. And 9 times out of 10, they'd be like, cool, if you want to chat at any time, let me know. And I was like, no, these are the people that I want to be around. And the stuff that they were putting out there was always, dropped into one of those 3 categories. And my view of the world all of a sudden got a bit broader. And so I started to see things that I didn't see before, and new opportunities came up and new connections. And I was like, and I became braver. I want to speak to you, Dom. I want to understand, how did you get to where you are today? And, it wasn't almost like, Dom, give me a job, I'm desperate. It was just, it was like, how did you get to start your podcast? Why did you start it? What are the challenges that you've overcome? Why do you continue to do it? So all of these types of questions, I was just really interested. And every different person or piece of content that I saw just added to my knowledge and skill set. And I started to see different things. And what, like Neo turns into at the end of the first Matrix, you start to see all the kind of digits and things like that. It was a little bit like that, because then you start to connect the dots and you go, oh, okay, right. So if I invested a bit of time here, that's where that person did. Invest a little bit of money to educate myself over here, that's what this person did. Lots of free things you can dabble with. And yeah, so I just went and did that. And there's lots of mistakes as well along the way. And, you're going to connect with people that flood your timeline with lots of sales stuff. And, if you're interested in that, that's fine. But yeah, so that's kind of how I approach LinkedIn from a digital decluttering aspect, mate. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Yeah, you're so right about that. It's like, gotta focus on the person you want to become and sustaining that. Heck, even always growing from that, not just the person you are today and person of the past. Because sometimes sometimes folks may get they might get in that Al Bundy syndrome where they keep focusing on that one powerful game they had in high school, and ever since they graduated, it's game over. They they don't like their life at all, and they sell shoes for a living.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's such a niche reference, but I love it. But I mean, so because you use it as well, Dom. So what stuff could I learn from you? Like, what do you do on that platform that adds value to you? What do you get most benefit from?
LinkedIn, it's good, but I need to use it more often. Definitely use it more often. Like I don't know what it is, but for some strange, I mean, I'm better at using it today than what I was a few years ago. But I think one of the um one group in particular, I know LinkedIn isn't like, or at least from the outside looking in. I'm not the LinkedIn expert, but usually from the outside looking in, LinkedIn groups aren't as big as Facebook groups usually. But there's one in particular. It's by actually one of our past guests, Sufit. I believe it's called Stepping Out, if I'm not mistaken. It's like 11, maybe even more. It's probably like maybe 30,000 folks on there, a really highly engaged community. And heck, even another guest in particular mentioned that LinkedIn's kind of like the positive version of Facebook in a way,
Mm.
even though, to be honest, Facebook is still positive to me because if folks share crap, I usually don't see it. I got it
Yeah,
to
yeah,
yeah.
and that's a good thing. But again, that comes with, you know, being a little bit aware of what it is that you want to see and what it is that you don't, rather, being playing an active part in how you use technology rather than just consuming everything.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so there's a lot of intention behind what you do and what you've and decisions that you've made. And I think it's really easy for us to get caught into, well, just the default setting basically of life, and that's pretty much where I was, in the default setting, thinking that was all right, and it is all right. It's comfy, it's safe, but nothing grows in the comfort zone. So you need to make a choice whether you stay there or whether you disrupt yourself a little bit and try and find a path that feels right for you. So yeah, and my disruption was just by getting rid of my old crap, basically.
Oh man, that's what I'm talking about. Well, since this is far from your first rodeo, is there a question that you wish to be asked more often when you're on these podcasts, my man?
Oh, I've not been asked this one before. You're taking me into new territory now. So I think generally the stuff that I get asked is, how do I start? How do I start this journey? And so we can probably talk into that a little bit, because what people will tend to say is just start anywhere, just get started. If you were going to lose weight, get fitter, or eat healthier, or whatever, just start running. The thing is, you can't run unless you warm up. Otherwise, you're going to pull a muscle, and it will put you off, and you won't do it again. And so, going in cold to getting rid of your stuff that you've been connected with for so many years is, some people like to do it that way. I stumbled across it, but actually understanding why, your own personal why, is a really good place to start. And that's kind of what I did. So my why was that I wanted to go traveling and I wanted to get out of debt. And the only way I could do that was by selling off some of the stuff that I never used. And only then did I realize how much junk I had in my home that I wasn't even using. DVDs that were still in the cellophane wrapper,
Mm-hmm.
films that I hated but wanted to keep for some strange reason. Um, Books that I promised myself that I would read and then never had the time to read them because I was so busy. And so my why was, I want to go traveling. And that was easier for me to then let go of some of the stuff. And someone else's why might be a case of, I want to entertain more people around my house. But actually I'm a bit worried because it's always cluttered. Or I want to save more money. So, and again, there's quite a lot of research at the moment, especially in the UK, around the people. Us in the UK, we're probably professional hoarders from a culture perspective, but we've got thousands of pounds worth of unused junk inside our homes that we don't use. That's according to eBay. So eBay did some research and we found that. So, if you wanted to go, we were talking about earlier, going and do slow traveling, or we wanted to buy something that we need, or upgrade the car, or look after our health a little bit more, or do whatever it is, that becomes your why. And that means you can sell off some of the stuff that you don't use to fund the thing that you want to be doing. And then all of a sudden you get more time back as well, because you don't need to clean the stuff that you don't use because it's not there anymore. It's not in your eyesight. So ultimately, if you go, because I work from home a lot now anyway, so the things I surround myself with, I'm with all the time, every day. But if you go out to work, you come home, you want your home to be a place of calm, not another place you have to work and clean like every single day and move stuff around. And I put a couple of jokes in the book, in Discovery of Less, about when I used to pull out one drawer and another one would come with it. Because it was so stuffed full of clothes. And it was either like a rubbish magic trick, or like the worst buy one get one free you could ever have. And I didn't want that. And different experiences I wanted to have some cereal. But to get the cereal that I wanted, I had to pull out like 15 things, put them on the floor, take out my Weetabix, put my Weetabix, find the milk, put the milk in, put the Weetabix back, and then put everything back in on the shelf. But then, of course, it doesn't all fit. That's when you get really annoyed and you have to shuffle stuff around. And it was those kind of little annoyances that over time we just kept chipping away at me. And so I thought, well, if I have less stuff, I won't have to worry about that. So yeah, so almost like I get that question a lot. It's always good to just kind of reiterate that to people, is from my perspective, understanding why you want to declutter will always give you a good warm up before you go out sprinting.
Solid right there indeed. That's right, folks. You don't want one of those exhibit pimp ride sessions. Be like, yeah, dog. We heard that you like having your house decluttered, man. So we put some clutter on top of your clutter so you can declutter more.
Yeah, or reclutter. And that's the thing. I'm moving into a new place next week. And my initial, you look at it, you walk blank canvas. What can I fill it with? And that desire to kind of put stuff in those. Oh yeah, I can put that in that corner there. I can create a little. If I buy a big chair, that'll be my reading chair.
Yeah.
But then about 2 months later, there's just loads of ironing. Classic ones. When I go around people's houses to help declutter, is gym equipment. Treadmills, rowing machines, weights. So the intention is there. The intention is good. The motivation may have been there, but people don't use them, and they use them to hang their clothes on, or to put boxes on, something like that. So the why maybe wasn't there for them, and it's just more stuff to clutter up the home.
You can say that again. Love what you said there too about warming up before you sprint. And the thing is, there's always the thing that a lot of folks have to do is have a pre-workout meal. So, new question I've been torturing guests with. Torturing's probably a bad word, but I'm going to use it just for this because it's freaking hilarious. Is that...
all right.
Don't worry, it's not as bad. There's been worse. But if your book was a food item, what would it be?
Dom, what type of question is that? That's brilliant.
Because it's brain food, so I'm like, you know what?
Oh, yes, I like that. Yeah, great. So I think, I've been eating a lot of blueberries recently, with my breakfast and stuff. And what I'm finding is that they're good brain food. They spark a lot of energy for me in my brain. So I think they'd be blueberry, the book would be not just one small blueberry. like a, I mean that's great, kind of, but it's like a packet of blueberries, fresh, nice cold blueberries you can just throw in your mouth. Let's keep going with this because they're a bit tangy to begin with. So this book's a little bit disruptive because you're not supposed to. When we live our lives, society says we're supposed to buy stuff. Adverts saying we're supposed to buy stuff to be who we are. But underneath it, we know that that's not true. And the book is there to kind of disrupt and just basically tell my story of how I went against that. So yeah, food-wise, blueberry, a little bit tangy, but you'll have really good thoughts off the back of it. So it's quite thought-provoking. Apparently, right? I'm not reviewing my own book. Like, oh, Dom, 6 stars. Even do a 6-star review. Yeah, so people have said it's quite thought-provoking, and they've taken action off the back of it by going, well, if this guy who was just a normal guy, living in from a working class background with a normal average job, average salary, everything average, can almost detach himself from that type of life to then explore and grow even more, and then I can do it too. So yeah, a packet of blueberries, mate. Great question, man. That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, man, I love that answer too. Probably the best answer to that question so far. Now I can think about it, 'cause that's hilarious. Like, yeah, it's a blueberry. Wait, it's not like one little blueberry here. You're gonna get more than that. This is great content here. It's a whole package of it, man. Like it's a whole crate of blueberries, man.
It's a whole crate. Yeah, yeah. Each page is a new taste of blueberry. There you
go. There you go, folks. So when you buy this book, buy some blueberries with it, and eat some blueberries as you're reading it. That's right. It'll be healthy for you. That's right. That's right indeed.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that. I'm gonna try that next time I read a book. Just have a load of blueberries and just keep throwing in my mouth. I'm like, well, Dom said that I'm supposed to be doing this now. What? So how am I feeling? I'll report back, mate. Next time it happens, I'll report back.
Oh man. Oh, yes indeed, yes indeed. We're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive. And that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in the current year, 2021, with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
I would probably say just ask the question anyway. So when I was 25, I had a view of what was supposed to happen based on the people you surround yourself with, the companies that you integrate with. You get a view of what your values are, but sometimes they get lost. And there were so many things I wanted to do, but I was too scared to ask. And what I found over time was that actually maybe 6 or 7 times out of 10, if you ask the question, people tend to be quite open to hear what you've got to offer, or even really, really help you out. And so I used that a number of times. So I used to run a music night in London, and I had a lot of artists that I wanted to get and come and play. But obviously I didn't have a lot of money to give. So the bar would give me a small amount, maybe about say $300, and say, right, you've got to curate the whole night. It was probably from like 8 o'clock till 2 in the morning. So I'm thinking, I need a band, I need a DJ, I need a couple of other artists, things like that. And there wasn't really a way that you could find out who was available. So you just had to ask. So I would find out artists that I liked, like listening to, and I would just email them, I would find out how to contact them, and I would email them. And I was like, "Would you like to come and play at this show?" And I say 6 or 7 times out of 10, they would go, "Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, definitely. I'll really be up for that. These are my available dates." But had I not asked, my assumption would be they're too far away. I can't reach out.
Mm.
And what if they say no? I'll be really embarrassed. So it was overcoming that um, false story that I told myself that, you know, yeah, no is a rejection and I don't want to be rejected and it feels embarrassing and things like that. So yeah, that would be my advice: is just ask the question anyway, because you never know, you might get the answer that you're looking for.
Ah, amen to that. That's right. Work out your gluteus ascimus. That's right. Ask people. That's right.
That is incredible. I'm stealing that with pride, my friend.
Yeah, man. Like it's so true, man. Like just ask the darn question, man. Like sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves because we're so darn scared of rejection or judgment, and it's like, you may be freaking surprised. Like some guests I've gotten on the show in the past, I just nutted up and just asked them, and it's like, oh, they said, yeah, shoot, all right, cool, let's do this thing, and
Perfect.
yeah.
What a great example. Yeah. I mean, who was probably someone that you've been most proud to get, or you've been proud to have on and speak to?
Ah, yes, definitely. One of them is Simon T. Bailey. Well, I got to call him Dr. Simon Bailey now because he got his doctorates. I believe it's shortly after we had our interview last fall, last year. And, like, yeah, because he wrote this wonderful book called Release Your Brilliance. And then he had another one called Shift Your Brilliance. And that was one of the books, I'd say, that's probably my top 150 that was probably really inspirational to help me reinforce what I was trying to build my early self development days. And just getting him on the show was great. Heck, even Laura Stack, her interview too, which is going to be going live this November. Another wonderful author, even though her message now came from a painful place because she lost one of her children, one of her sons, to the drug and marijuana, some concentrated THC, and just getting her to talk about her son and her mission now to help spread awareness about the dark side of marijuana, because the plant itself, it's okay because a lot of people have done it, although I'm just speaking from other people because I haven't smoked the plant, never been interested. But for those who've done it, like, it's been okay. But the thing is, like, nowadays, especially with edibles, they're taking a certain drug that's concentrated in the Mary Jane plant and then really exponentially making that concentrated drug into edibles, and heck, even dabbing, which to me I thought was just a crazy stupid dance the kids were doing for a couple of years, but apparently it's also a drug. Yeah, the dabbing. Yeah, when dabbing's
Mm.
like, yeah, that's what you think of. And no, it's actually not only that, it's also a darn drug that could possibly give younger folks some hallucinations that cause them to possibly commit suicide, make them have a higher level of paranoia because their brains are still developing in the late teens and early 20s, as opposed to a more mature mind that's been on the earth a little longer, can take it a lot easier. So yeah, man, it's just those people to name it, just to name those two, just to start off with. Like, there's been a couple others, but don't want to go on for the next half an hour because this is the Chris hour right here.
Well, no, no, definitely worth checking out then, because yeah, if you're super proud of those guests and those conversations, man, and I'll hear how your puns and your jokes have come through on those ones, or unless you were just holding back. I want to see if been your interview style has been different with me compared to the your heroes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Funny enough, I think Simon, he was probably laughing more than I was because he was making more jokes than I was, surprisingly. That's right, the good old book of Malachi. It's like, I thought it was pronounced Malachi. Nah, man, it's Malachi. I'm like, okay.
If you say so, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, for those who want to keep up with all that you're doing, buy some copies of this book and all the other stuff that Chris is going to be doing in the future. What's the best way for folks to do so?
Yes. So lessisprogress.com is my website, and that's where you can get loads of free stuff. People like free stuff, right? I love free stuff. Only if it adds value to me. That I don't encourage people to just hoard a load of free stuff because that's not the point. But yeah, so that's my website where you can find out a little more about me. You can also get chapter 1 of Discovery of Less for free. So again, now that's the fattest chapter in the whole book. So actually, you're getting about 25% with the intro and the chapter of the book. So it really gives you an idea of whether you want to carry on with the story or not. So it's low, really, really low risk. So yeah, that's where I do my coaching. So if you're interested in some one-to-one or even team or family support for any of the areas relating to minimalism. So when we're talking about the standard decluttering, which is where generally people like to start, the physical things within the home, there's a lot of it that goes with the sentimental attachment and the why. But because we're all really, really busy people, so I'm offering to partner up and to be your cheerleader through that. But also it goes around the digital decluttering part, like I mentioned, but also in people's career and work as well. So I'm helping a lot of people at the moment who are reaching burnout, who are working really, really hard. And so I write a lot, and I put it on LinkedIn as well. So you can just look at Chris Lovett for LinkedIn. I'm the guy with the big hair. And there is a way where we can do less, but still be as successful, if not more successful. And it's just understanding that is okay, and removing those old stories. Similar to what we were talking about, like going out and asking people because you never know what you're going to get back. Is sometimes it's okay to say no, that you're not going to do that piece of work because you've got 55 other pieces of work that need doing, and people will respect you more for that because you're able to manage your time a bit better. So Less is Progress is the website where you can get a 30 days of less challenge and guide if you want like a little kickstart to physically decluttering, digital and mental decluttering. The book is on Amazon and any other online bookstores, which is Discovery of Less. You can go and grab that. And yeah, honestly, I just love connecting with good people. So yeah, hit me up on Less is Progress on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, and all the other fun places that we like to go. Oh, I do some speaking too. I forgot to mention that. I talk a good game as well, kind of. So I've got a speaking business as well. So if corporates and businesses and events want to find out why on earth is this geezer with this funny accent from London and going to talk to me about telling us about why he sold off his DVD collection and all of a sudden become this guru. Yes, it's a bit of a weird story. But it's it's getting really, really popular. So yeah, the top two things at the moment: career through burnout and doing less. So I'm there to support.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about indeed. So that's right, folks. If you love Chris hearing him on the microphone today on the Going North podcast, be sure to buy 77 copies of his book. Share with your friends, family, penguins, camels. Heck, if you can find a unicorn, better yet, find a platypus, share with them too. So that way they know how to live with less indeed, and bring Chris on to speak to your organization too. Help them get rid of that psychic baggage by decluttering in their life, especially that digital decluttering indeed. Get rid of them emails, y'all. Maybe make some more intentional connections on these social media platforms and not those evil marketers who kill everything by sending you a connection request and then pitching you their product without even saying hi. Or my pet peeve is where they send you one and they ask you, what do you do? And it's like, all right, block. So don't
Yeah,
do that,
yeah,
folks.
yeah. Rather than asking what do you do, just like, how are you? You know what I mean, it's a and I always think the people that you generally engage with are people that you want to have a relationship with, and no better way in start a relationship than understanding who that person is. You know what I mean? So, how are you, mate? How you getting on? What have you been up to this week? Just generally being interested in their life. You know what I mean? And if there is something that you might be able to help them with, yes, then of course it's down for you to go. You know, if this might be of use to you, this is there. Um, but not just, oh hey, what do you do? How can I squirm into your life and sell you this thing? Yeah, no, I'm all about just building relationships, man, because we're human beings, man. We're supposed to be connected with people. We're not just supposed to use each other. So yeah, that's my thought on that matter.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So, any other parting words before we close up the recording shop, my man?
No, thanks, Dom. Loving your work, mate, and I love your interview style, and it's been a real pleasure. So it's a Friday afternoon for me, and you have been the highlight of my week. I've really enjoyed this, and you have put some pennies in my heart currency, man. How long can we drag that heart currency thing out for?
Until we run into the center of the earth, not just the ground.
Nice. Nah, but pleasure, my man. No, thank you so much, and keep doing what you do. You're adding a lot of value to people's lives, and it's great to connect. But yeah, if any listeners are interested in how getting rid of stuff can help you grow, hit me up. I'm always up for a conversation.
How's it going, my friend? I'm so glad you made it to the end. That shows that you are an uncommon finisher, and I am so grateful for you sharing your ears, your attention, and your time to this wonderful podcast to do something that'll take yourself to the next level. And for everybody else involved in this wonderful program, share it with at least 3 people in your network so that way more folks can not only catch the fire that is on this podcast, but can also be inspired to be their best.